Evaluation of Universal Grammar. View of Language Learner. So let us see, as a part of our evaluation of universal grammar, how does it conceptualize the role of the learner or the learner itself. So regarding the interest in the learner, the universal grammar is only interested in the learner as a processor or a processor of a mind that contains language. That means it is not interested in the learner as a social being, but it only conceptualizes the learner as a mind processing the complex information of a language or something that is storing the language. This is because the primary concern with of the universal grammar is not with the learner or the learning process itself, but language as an object of study. So it is interested in the learner's mind and it wants to establish what is universal in the minds of the learners. So what is it that is common in the minds of the learners across languages, and they are not interested in the social differences of the learners or how their gender or their ethnicity or how their location will affect the language learning process. Yes, of course, it makes very clear and explicit statements. That means explicit means again clear and something that you can easily see. It makes the statements regarding the language, and this is the ground that it claims to cover. So that means it is a good theory if you are studying a language. However, if you are interested in the learners, in your classroom learners as human beings, universal grammar principles don't take into account that at all. So learner for them is only a mind, and a mind that is the object of their study, and within that mind also, they are only interested in those embedded features within the mind of the learners that are common to all learners across the world. It does not document the process of learning. It is not interested in it, and so it is not interested in the mechanisms that learners use. So focus now in universal grammar is less whether universal grammar principles apply across the learners or not. However, it is more on whether the module that deals with the storing of the language, whether this module is a single module or if it is a number of modules, or if there are number of modules dealing with different aspects of the language. So that is the focus of the universal grammar. That would mean that learner for the universal grammar does not have any significance more than any storage piece that you might have at home, and you are more interested in not the box itself, but what is stored in the box. So you'll be less interested in the size or the aspect or the color of the box, that is the learner. You will be more interested in what is stored in the minds of the learners. This is also because they are focused upon looking at the universal principles. Universal principles would mean principles of language that are common across the world. And for that, they deliberately ignore the differences between the learners. They ignore the differences between the rates of the learning. Why do learners learn early and some don't? So they only somehow highlight, they might tell you something interesting about the root of learning. However, what they do is just describe the languages, and that is what their primary focus is.